Yeah.
All right.
It looks like
Well,
we
it
might
does
be
look like we
live.
are live. Yes,
Hello,
we
world.
are. I can see on my tablet over off to the side because I can see the comments better that way. So
For
I'm
sure.
here with Charlie of Ghost of the Machine, and they have a brand new album called Empires Must Fall. So I get that in frame.
Yes, we do. Hello, Ron. Thanks for having us on the show again. It's good to be here.
Yes, yes. Oh, you got your copy too.
Yeah, man.
There you go. Um, I think you guys outdone yourself on your debut, and I listen to them both equally, but I just tend to gravitate towards that Empires Must Fall.
That's
Um,
great to hear.
I like that you guys have a variety of it. You have some, um, I want dare to say, mainstream sound, and then you have the progressive sound, and then you have the progressive rock, and you have heavy progressive rock. Because I was trying to explain it to someone because they all of a sudden they were saying something prog metal. I said no, they're not prog metal. It's heavy because um, it doesn't it's not consistent throughout the whole from start to finish in a heavy mode. As if anything, it's just a more modern version of to me of that the '80s neo prog, but it's just more modern and uh, more updated.
Thanks. Yeah.
And
Uh,
I like to go track by track.
yeah. Well, before we do that, I'll just come in on what you've said there about the sound. I think, yeah, we with our producer Bob Cooper, we've really tried to take those songs and give them a real fresh sound. It wants to sound like a record that was released in 2025. So it's great to hear that we're kind of successful in that aim, turning those sort of 80s sounds and influences into something that still sounds fresh today.
Right.
And I'd agree that we're not a prog metal band. I think we're very much in that sort of melodic vein. I think some of the biggest influences that come to the fore are from Marillion and Genesis, for example. Uh, but we also have quite a dense sound. We've got two guitarists, and we've got a very very busy rhythm section. It really fills it out. And when you add the layers and layers of keyboards from Mark Hagan, it becomes quite a full record.
Oh yeah. And and I like how he has vintage sounds and then modern sounds on his keyboards.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Because
Hammond.
I noticed, yes, yeah, it gets that, um, and it just and there's a lot of also some modern touches here and there that I wasn't really expecting because usually that's from more techno sounding bands. So
Yeah,
maybe maybe he was listening.
he's quite heavy on
Maybe he was listening. Yeah,
sorry, there's the stream seems to be quite choppy. I don't know how it is at your end.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so there was a bit of breakup there, but I do hear what you mean with the more contemporary sound. Oh, well, he's a huge our keys player is a huge sort of Gary Newman Ultravox fan, so a lot of that new
Okay,
wave sound
that's what.
bleeds into the well the chord structures that he uses, as well as the sounds. So juxtaposing that with the sort of the warmer organ and the older old school prog sounds that are more recognizable, it gives us a more distinctive Ghost of the Machine kind of sound.
Yes. Yeah, and I was listening to this while I was out and about on Spotify. And when I got to the end of it, you know where the next song comes from? Winter, this Winter Machine.
Ah, yeah, yeah, of course.
It's like it just gets kind of clips right onto that. So I thought that was very clever of them for the algorithm to do that. You know, to kind of since basically five of you guys were from there.
That's true. Yeah, that's a big
And
part of the history of this band.
so tell us a little bit about Keepers of the Light.
I will. Yes, Keepers of the Light was one of the earlier songs that we worked on this album, and I think I had in my mind that it was also going to be the album opener from quite an early point in Empires Must Fall's development. Um, I think the opening riff leading up to the that infectious lead synth line from Mark give it a real bright opening, and that's where I wanted the story to start. So, for the viewers who don't know, Empires Must Fall is a direct sequel to the story that began with Scissors on our previous record. And I realized fairly early on, again, in this process, that we weren't quite finished with that story. There needed to be consequences for the act of violence that took place at the end of the previous record, right? So the woman who destroyed the Puppet King from that first album has now crowned herself the Empress of the Light, and she's going to make the world a better place. And our protagonist finds himself invited into this new domain, sees its glittering towers and golden halls, and he's welcomed by the keepers. They clothe him in their own garb, and he sets eyes on the Empress for the very first time, and instantly declares his love and loyalty to this person because this place that she's created is so perfect, so beautiful, and that seemed like the way to open this record. It's big, it's bombastic. Some really interesting time signatures going on. Um, that our drummer Andy really worked to smooth over so that the track has a nice flow to it. Um, but hopefully the sort of the hooks and the melodies are what get you and draw you into this new record straight away.
Yes, yeah, it does, and it's been kind of it really captivates you, and it's like, and I believe didn't you put isn't there a video up for that, or is that
Not for
or
this one.
no,
We've
not
released
for this
released two
two?
lyric videos for
Okay,
the one and Panopticon, but we'll come to those.
yeah, I really liked in your voice the way you enunciate certain words, uh, and in a way you kind of you're leading the listener
Thank you.
with how you sing. And I was trying to explain it to a friend of mine. I said, just imagine it's um, a singer that is actually they're singing and they're not just shouting out things. You know, they're not like some. There's a lot of singers that do that. They shout out, and but I said you can tell a real singer when it just flows so nicely, and you got volume to your voice. That's one thing, but you have such a control to it that that I hear, and I think it makes telling the story that much better.
It's something that I really try to work on. If if I want people to buy into the story that threads through this album, then you need to be able to hear it, right? And you need to be able to know what the
Yeah,
emotions are, and uh,
exactly.
the lyrics are an important part of that. So enunciation is absolutely key.
Yeah,
I have quite a distinctive Northern English accent in my speaking voice. But I try not to sing with an accent. I try to enunciate every single letter
Right.
in every word that I write for these songs, and hopefully then we can get those images and themes and stories across.
And then the days that never were.
Yes, so that's it kind of opens in a bit of a poppy rocky kind of way. Big synths, very melodic,
Yeah.
very upbeat as well. Um, and then we throw you off the scent by switching into uh, bars of seven with that sort of lush piano melody and a more plaintive vocal. At this in the second song, I wanted to get across the motivations of the Empress, why she created this new empire. And the thing that she says is her first decree as the newly crowned Empress is that no one is going to suffer like she did at the hands of the Puppet King, right? So in this new world, everything's going to be perfect. But that presents our central problem for the album in trying to control everything and make it so that all these terrible things can never happen. Is that real justice? It's an interesting question.
Right.
Maybe I watched Minority Report too many times when I was a teenager, you know, that whole pre-crime thing, stopping awful things before they happen. Is that the right thing to do? I leave it to you to decide, but
Right.
that was her aim all along. And the protagonist himself understands that, you know, he was going to do something terrible in the future. He doesn't really understand what or when, but he's kind of grateful to the Empress for saving him from the days that never were.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's
Because some people would try to correct your that that song title to say that never was, but you know, you said this is future events,
that's right. Yeah.
and that's what I liked about it. It was like um, anything to do with time, whether it's time travel or you know messing with time. You know, it's
Yeah,
always
all those branching possibilities, the things that do come to pass and the things that don't. They
yeah,
they they shape our reality, right? Um,
yeah, and
by trying to control everything and make everything perfect, is this new empire a reality or is it just a complete fiction? And that's where we'll go from this point on in the story.
then you have the one that I was having trouble pronouncing, Panopticon. Uh, this one now, I love watching the lyric video because then I can actually understand the song a little bit more. But it's it's got to be one of my favorites off the album because just the way the overall sound and the way you're delivering the vocals to it. It's if I it sounds like in some parts like a warm.
It it kind of is. The whole concept of the panopticon, it's a design for a prison that was conceived by a guy called Jeremy Bentham, where all of the prison cells face inward toward a single watchtower. So all the prisoners can be watched at any time, and they don't know if or when they're being watched. So it induces all of this paranoia and fear, and it's also a kind of control. Because if you don't know if you're being watched, you're not gonna put a single toe out of line, are you?
Right,
Um, now that prison design, you know, you could extrapolate it into the real world that we live in today, because we're under constant surveillance from the devices we'll carry in our pocket, right? They're listening
right,
to they're listening to so much that we say we're pouring our very souls into these things, the mobile phones. There's cameras everywhere. When you go outside, you know, they always know you're always being
right.
watched in some way, and that can create real paranoia. But in the story itself, it's the realization from the protagonist, who we now reveal to be the prisoner, that this beautiful golden empire that he thought he was living in, underneath that facade is this horrifying prison with the almighty watchman at the center of it, making sure that none of these people do anything that they weren't supposed to do. Um,
Right.
but that lack of control is having that control taken away from you. And this whole empire being built on a foundation of lies is what is the inciting action. The prisoner realizes that he needs to escape and expose the truth so that everyone realizes what this world they're living in really is.
Right.
So it's a call to action. I suppose it's a warning, but it's a call to action. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. It's time for war.
Yes. Yeah. And the two lyric things I got is who about the Watcher. I like that because that kind of is ominous there, and then towards the end of the song where you actually say the title of the album, that the
Yeah,
empires must fall. And that to me, when you sing that, is probably one of the most powerful things you've sung on the album,
thank you.
because it's like you're just, it's like you're just saying this is what must happen.
And it's that's echoed through history. Tyrants come and go, but empires will always fall in the end. Um,
Yes.
but it does take action to make that happen. This song is very much the centerpiece of this album. It's the turning point in the story when you realize what's really going on here. It's the call to action to take the war to the Empress, and as you touched upon, the title of the album is found in the lyrics very near the end of the song. So I'm glad you picked up on that.
Oh yeah. When I heard that, it was one of those kind of moments that you get when the hair on the back of your neck kind of stands up.
Ah, cool.
You know, where it's like it's like, and like I was saying, the way you enunciate each word, it was just like you did it. It was like, I'm sure it was calculated. You wanted
I
to
wrote
get that reaction.
Absolutely. I wrote it around the wonderful drum part that Andy built up throughout that final
Yeah.
chorus. And it really is a sort of punch the air moment. Yeah, I find myself doing it when we play it live. I'm trying to rally the room to come to war with me.
Right. Right. And it's amazing. And then, you know, the visuals on that lyric video is amazing too. So it kind of like sucks you in, and you gotta listen to it all the way through. You know.
Yeah, it's a very kinetic video. It was made by Drain Hope, and they do a lot of metal music videos, but they've dabbled in prog with Pure Reason Revolution and Gong even, and
Oh wow.
they reached out to us actually to ask if we wanted to work with them on anything, and it just so happened that Panopticon was going to be the next song that we released ahead of the album, and they were the perfect guys for the job. So
Yeah.
really
Great.
happy with how that turned out.
Yeah. It's really good. Now the next one is all through time. Again, time. Those. Whenever someone has something time listed in their thing, I was like, I gotta hear what they're gonna talk about.
It's just a fascinating thing, isn't it? Time. So, one of my favorite TV shows is Doctor Who, and it's just for the time travel aspect of it. It creates endless possibilities because you can go anywhere. You can go literally anywhere in time and space. Um, well, there he is. You know, I think Prog, Prog, and sort of nerdy fandoms often intertwine, don't they?
Yeah.
No shame
Oh
here.
yeah.
I love everything nerdy. Yeah, but Fall Through Time is it's well, if Panopticon was the call to action, the call to war, then Fall Through Time is the confrontation with the Empress. And the protagonist, the prisoner, he's escaped from this prison. He's gone and marched upon the Empress's golden halls, and he's going to challenge her and reveal the truth. But she's cunning, and she tries to turn all the other citizens of the Empire against the prisoner. Uh, but she can't hold on to this version of reality. Everything begins to crumble around her as the truth is so overpowering, right? Truth will always trump lies, always.
Oh yeah, and then that leads right into the one. Now
It
that
does. Yeah, I mean, just one other thing on Fall Through Time. You talk about the goosebumps moments.
yeah,
When we got the first mixes back from our producer Bob, it was this song that gave me the goosebump moments. It was the first time that I heard Graham Garbutt's solo on the end of the track, the guitar solo, and I think Graham pulled something out of his very soul there. It's so impactful in the drama of this moment in the song of the album. It's so perfectly pitched. It's melodic, it's emotional, and yeah, that's one of my favorite moments on this new record.
I do like that over technical playing
I always have
because
as well. I've always liked
I mean
guitarists
once
like Steve
once
Rothery and David Gilmour, who very bluesy and very emotional, and he wrings a lot of emotion out of his bends. It's
right, yeah,
how
that I
how
like
much can you
that
get out of a single note?
exactly. So then, like I said, we went into then to the one. That's the other lyric video. Lyric video.
Yeah, we did release a lyric video for this on New Year's Day. So 1st of January, 1/1 is when we released The One. And I was really pleased that we did that because no one else was releasing anything on New Year's Day, right? We had a clear
Right.
field to show off the first song that we were going to reveal from this new album. We'd been away for a little while, Scissorgames was 2022. We've been working on this album for quite a few years, and we wanted to start things off with a bang on New Year's Day.
Right.
Really pleased with the way that landed as well. We got a lot of people sharing the new song, and we started selling our new CD at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Uh, for anyone who's watching who's interested in picking one of these up for themselves, you can get it from our Bandcamp, ghostofthemachine.bandcamp.com, or you can visit our website, www.gotm.band, GOTM for Ghost of the Machine, of course. Um, or you can buy it from our label, progrock.com's Essentials.
Yes.
So on the progrock.com site, on the top right, you can hit that Essentials button and you can find our album along with all of our label mates' awesome releases as well. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I was pleased we were able to make a bit of a loud noise with this first single. Probably the most commercially friendly we get really as a prog rock band.
Right.
The song structure is quite similar, simple. It's verse chorus, bridge chorus. It's the shortest song we've ever released, but it's still got that dense Ghost of the Machine sound. You've got that busy walking bass line. You've got Andy's really
Right.
interesting drum patterns. You've got the cool guitar riff from Scotty with Graham soaring above it and thick synth pads. And then they all really bring that chorus home. It's meant to be the sort of sing along song on the album.
Yeah.
Quite a simple
Because
refrain.
it's going on right now here.
Great, yes, success. Um, this is an interesting one. Interesting one. We had 5 songs for this album for the longest time. We started work on it before we'd even released Scissorgames. Before we'd even finished recording it, we were already working on new material. And so throughout 2023 even and early 2024, we had 5 songs. But we heard the demo back. We recorded it in February 2024, and it was apparent that the album wasn't finished. We needed something else. We didn't have that one song that was going to complete the puzzle. But then suddenly it manifested itself out of a little jam that Scotty and Mark had done. Scott with the guitar riff and Mark with some chords underneath it. Um, Scott sent me a demo while I was on the train home one day, and in that sort of 15 minutes before I got back to my home city train station, I'd written the chorus and the verse. I was so excited about this new piece of music. So the one came together more quickly than anything else on the album, and it was the missing piece of the puzzle, and it sent us straight into the recording studio to make this album a reality.
Yeah, it's a very, very catchy, and I'm guessing that that's the prisoner is.
The It's the Empress confronting the prisoner at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's pouring her scorn on him. She's trying to blame him for ruining everything, rather than looking at herself and all of the things that she's done. She's looking for someone to blame, and it's the person who's revealed the truth. So, yeah, I can be the one you love to blame when nothing goes your way. But he's,
yeah,
the prisoner understands, he has to take that scorn on. He had to do what he did. He had to reveal the truth and bring down this empire.
and then the final track after the war.
Our longest song on the album,
Yes,
not our longest song ever, but certainly the longest one on this particular piece. And this one closed the story, and I think it's got everything that you could want from a Ghost of the Machine track. It's got the most dynamics. It's got so many different grooves and feels across the different sections. It's one of the most fun to sing, actually, because I get to use more of my range. There's a lot of space to tell the conclusion of this story. Um, and when we do it live, there's a lot of room just to have fun on stage with my bandmates and feel the different sections and enjoy them. I love this piece. I think it's um, one of the songs that I'm most proud of out of everything that we've done so far. Um, it's also had the most road testing. We've not revealed much ahead of time. We like to keep things quite close to our chests. We don't release demos. We don't give people much advance sight of what we're working on. But we did play After the War live quite a few times during 2024. So we got to get that feedback from a live audience, what was working, what needed to change, and
right.
maybe shorten or extend because people were enjoying it. And yeah, that's how we got this one into its final form through giving it a little bit of live exposure.
Right. Yeah, that's a that's a good idea without, like you said, without revealing what it's about, or that it
Yeah,
had anything to do with scissors.
yeah, it gives us space to try out the sort of the themes and musical feels that we're working on that are going to give this album its identity, right? It might be a sequel to Scissors, but it is also its own thing. It needs to stand alone.
Right.
You need to be able to pick up Empires Must Fall, play it, and experience it as its own thing. You can go back, listen to Scissors, and then put the next one on if you want, get the full story in one sitting. Uh, but I do like that it can also be its own thing. It's got a different protagonist. It's got its own single narrative, and
Yeah, it's just the idea that you were saying how the emperor, the one that became the empress, basically killed the puppet king
that's right.
because
Yeah,
of what he did, but then she's just basically repeating it in a
In her own way,
with
yeah.
in her own way. I mean, maybe she thought it was in a more kinder, friendlier way, but in the end, it really wasn't.
She had good intentions, but
Yeah.
I think the actions undo those good intentions. I don't think it was right for her to exert that much control over people's destinies, and the people will always realize what's happening and fight back against that.
Oh
So
yes.
she brought her own downfall upon herself. But at the end of After the War, our protagonist, he extends that hand of forgiveness, right? And says, run away with me. So processing all the pain, the hurt that they've gone through in this conflict, that act of forgiveness is what closes the story. And I think that's why, we brought the curtain down on this chapter for Ghost of the Machine as well. So we've got two albums that belong as a pair.
Right.
Um, but now we've got that scope to, so we're, we're done with this story. It's time to find out what's next.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice that you can do that and then go to your next chapter of everything. You know. And there
A
was
blank page
also
is
one.
quite exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I. This is what I like about progressive rock is the storytelling. And
Yeah,
it
man.
doesn't have to be on like on a grand scale. It could be, you can use themes closer to home instead of picking it up from a science fiction novel or something
Yeah,
or science fiction movie. You can use themes, and that's the one thing I storytelling in music goes back to the caveman
of course it does. Yeah. Well,
times, and then it kind of deviated in the last century a little bit. I mean, you had some storytelling, but mostly it was just kind of frivolous lyrics.
well, people resonate with distilled emotions, don't they? I mean,
Yeah,
with 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 Empires Must Fall, if people don't particularly listen closely to the lyrics, I hope they'll still have some sort of emotional response to the music or the way
right,
something is sung. You can find your own meanings in these songs. I like to leave space for the listener to draw their own conclusions.
right.
We've got this whole sort of science fiction fantasy wrapper around it with the Empress and this, glorious kingdom in the sky, but you can ignore all that and relate it to real world experiences if you so wish, or your own personal experiences, and that's absolutely
Yeah,
fine by me. If a particular song means something else to you than perhaps what I originally thought it meant, then so be it. It's your song now. You you have your own experience with it.
right. And I'm sure you probably love hearing people's different experiences based, different ideas. I mean, like I was saying, this could be mirrored to the real world at any time in history.
Absolutely, yeah. I love hearing people's interpretations.
Um, so it's like this one of the things that kind of it drew me to progressive rock in 40 years ago, almost to date. Whenever Marillion's Misplaced Childhood was released,
Yeah, man.
that was uh, when I saw the video Kaylee on MTV. I was like going, "Who's this band and where can I find it?" And,
Yeah,
and I've been following them ever since.
yeah.
Uh, and
Kaylee stands alone, but then when you extend it into that wider piece, the whole first side of the album or the whole album, it's amazing how it
yeah,
can work in isolation or expanded into that larger piece. It's great. What a wonderful
yeah,
piece of music and lyricism.
that's a, that's what I kind of like too. Is like like you just said, if it's the little piece there, you can listen to it and enjoy it, but then fully enjoy when you listen to the whole album.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just the same. I mean, I would put like let's say the song "The One." That could be nice to listen to on its own, but it's even better when you listen to it as part of the entire album.
That's great to hear. Yeah, that we were pleased with the final running order of the album because I think it's a nice ebb and flow, from the bright
Yeah,
start right through the drama of the conflict and into the resolution. I hope that comes across well.
yeah. And, this is one of the things that a lot of modern audiences aren't into album listening.
No, well, you mentioned it earlier that you were listening on Spotify and Spotify leads you through into other bands that
Right.
relate to the song, and that is how a lot of people listen to their music now. People use
Yeah.
streaming services that are very convenient. They're immediately available in the palm of your hand, and they give you personalized recommendations of things that it thinks you might like. You're always discovering something new. So
Right.
perhaps people don't have the same amount of time as they used to listen to records. That whole ritual of the vinyl, or in my case it was so the CD Walkman with my headphones in,
Oh yes,
listening
I have one
listening
of those.
to things like The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway and Dark Side of the Moon as a young teenager. And
Right.
they're
That's
amazing
right.
experiences, and I really got to know those albums inside out. Whereas
Right.
I think nowadays, myself included, a lot of the time you find yourself moving almost straight on to the next thing. And there's so much out there, and there are new releases happening all the time. Look how
Exactly.
crazy, look how crazy this March has been for progressive rock releases.
I know.
Jethro Tull, Stephen Wilson, IQ, and then uh, bands like Tribe 3 putting out absolutely amazing album, which I think needs to be listened to by anyone who likes this kind of melodic, progressive sound.
Right.
I have barely scratched the surface there. That's one
Oh
month
yeah.
in this year, so keeping up is
No,
difficult.
and we're only 3 months into the year, so it's like, I mean, going on four, so it's like, you know, what's going to happen the remaining months of the year? It's like, there was a friend of mine was saying this a long time ago. He said we used to wish that there was more music, and then I said to that, I said, and be careful what you wish for,
A little bit, yeah.
because there's more music coming out, more. I mean, even though it's more independent, but there's still more coming out than there was even 20 years
Oh, easily, yeah. Um,
ago.
the proliferation of home studios and
Yes,
digital release platforms like DistroKid, CD Baby, TuneCore, it makes it much easier to get your music out there, but it doesn't necessarily make it easier to find an audience. It's Yeah, prog
that's the
rock's in a
thing. Is
strange place right now.
That's the
Um,
thing is I talk with some friends on Zoom, and I usually have some of the progressive rock music going in the background, and sometimes they say, "Oh, what's that?" And but then I get a couple times like, "Oh, what's that?" It's like just the way it's like some sound like it's interested into knowing what it is, and others like, "What in God's name are you listening to?" That song is how long? And I'm like going, you know, I said, I guess you have to be conditioned into it to understand that it's not about the song length. It's really the time spent on the subject of the song. And that's just how I get from it. I mean, yeah, I do once in a while like to listen to a couple 5 minute songs here and there,
sure.
especially if you're on a short trip, it's like you want to have a little more variety for that. But then if I'm sitting home relaxing, I'm going to listen to the whole album through.
That's great.
And,
That's
that's
the way
just
you like to experience music, and it's great to hold on to that, even with all of the things competing for your attention now. That's not just music, is it? It's things on YouTube. It's on all your box sets and streaming services for television and social media and reels, all wanting your time. It's good not to lose sight of the way you like to enjoy
right.
your music.
Exactly.
But then having discovery tools like Spotify is helpful. Spotify does it inspires some quite feisty conversations
Yes.
with artists for very obvious reasons. The royalty situation, the
It's
amount
like
of money that
zero
Spotify
zero
makes.
zero zero zero.
It's
It's like I think what is it like a tenth or a hundredth of a cent,
it,
and that's U.S.
yeah, like no 0.003 cents or something. It's not
Yeah.
much per stream. And a lot of artists rightly think that that is an unfair deal. What I don't agree with is the notion that Spotify is giving your music away for free. I think it is in the modern day, these streaming services, if you're not on them, you are cutting yourself off from a large potential audience.
Right.
If that's not for you, if that model is not for you, then I completely understand it. But we are finding new listeners all the time through Spotify and through being there, whereas taking our music away would mean that
Right.
um, those people never discover Ghost of the Machine. We're six guys with full-time jobs, and those jobs aren't making music, right? So I'm in a privileged position. I'm not relying on this music to put food on the table and pay my rent. Um, so I actually understand it more if you're wanting to make a career out of music. And I certainly understand the principle
Oh yeah.
of not wanting to be part of this particular machine. Um, but I really just think of all those new fans that we wouldn't have made if our music wasn't there. And a lot of them then do come to shows and they will buy that t-shirt or they'll buy the CD, but they'll go home and stream the album anyway because it's more convenient to do that. It's a strange.
That's exactly what I tell people to do is okay, you have this now there's going to be a day that this will not be on stream for whatever reason. So when that day happens, then you can go to your library, grab it, and put it in your CD player. And or if you still have a CD Walkman, you know.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's going to be there. It's an obvious it's going to be there. Now, like you said, convenience. Like if you're out visiting friends, you're not going to bring a stack of your 10 latest CDs you bought.
No, you're going to
You're going to
take
bring,
this,
you,
you're going to hook it up to the Bluetooth in your car or to your headphones, and you're going to listen to whatever the heck you want. That's what the horse has
yeah,
bolted. The horse has bolted. So I've changed my relationship with streaming to be it is the cheapest and most cost-effective marketing tool available to
that's it.
to Ghost of the
That's,
Machine.
yeah,
Um,
it's perfect for that. And it's also for, on the audience standpoint, we can go and test the waters of different music out there
yeah, uh,
and see, because I'm sure you get countless recommendations. And while you trust the person that are recommending the thing, but you want to hear for yourself to make sure did they get everything in line? Did they really know? And and a lot of times I find people do know me, and then I go on to Amazon or something like that and look for the album and put it on the wish list, go and watch
yeah.
you
Bandcamp's
know,
really good. Bandcamp is an amazing
oh yeah, I
platform.
for for um for the independent progressive rock, I use that.
Yeah,
And anything independent, I've bought other genres, but primarily progressive rock. Because and then also those independent stores like Prog Rock Store, and there's another one out here called Bandwagon, and
yeah,
then there's Laser's Edge and Symphonic. I mean, we have different ways of getting it.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I think that choice is important because people listen to music in so many different ways now. I I know prog rock fans who won't listen to it unless it's on a vinyl, and unfortunately, Empires Must Fall is not on vinyl yet. I hope it will be, but it's dependent on how the CD sales go because it costs money to make the product. So
yeah, that's what
we
I
need
hear.
with vinyl you can sort of expect a certain ratio of how many records you're going to sell versus how many CDs. So if I can see, well, we are selling this many CDs, I'm on track to sell that many CDs. Let's take the gamble on vinyl and make it available for people. But um, we can factor in digital downloads as well. We can look at to our streaming audience and think, well, we're going to convert 10% of those into fans and maybe another 10% of that or 1% into sales. That's kind of
Right,
the goal, as it were. It sounds like small percentages, but that's the numbers game.
right. So right now, everybody, it's out on CD, and if you don't buy it on CD, you can go to Bandcamp and get the digital. Right. And I do believe Bandcamp is back on doing the first Fridays of every month to where you get 100% of the proceeds. So if you can
Almost,
wait,
almost,
I
yeah.
mean, if you wait a couple more, basically next week,
I don't think there's a
you know.
Bandcamp Friday this April.
Oh no,
Um,
okay.
it's not every month. They don't they don't always tell you when it's
Oh,
going to happen. I'm not sure when the next one is. It might be May.
yeah. Well, if you could wait, do it. But if you, I, I couldn't wait. I mean, because the music is great.
Thank
You
you,
know,
man.
you put and it's the combination of the instrumentation and your vocals to just both come together, gel in such a wonderful way that makes it listening to the album even that much better.
I'm very lucky to have the bandmates that I do. I mean, I was a huge fan of them before Ghost of the Machine was even a thing. I was really fortunate that they invited me to be their singer, and working with guys like that is making me improve every single day. Just being in a room with them. So really proud of the two records that we've been able to create so far. Thank you.
Well, Charlie, thank you again. I mean, I think you are now my most talked to person. I mean, I had you for the first Ghost in the Machine,
You
then
did, yeah.
you,
Age of Distraction as
uh,
well.
and Shadows.
Did we do Shadows of Mercury as well? So that's four.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I,
four
I've been
times.
I've been busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've also come to this sort of original music game kind of late. Not late. I'm only in my 30s, but I didn't have a particularly musical um, childhood. Pl played a little bit at school, but I wasn't very interested in making music then. And then I was more into my theatre, and in my 20s I did covers bands for a little while. But I thought, I, I'm not a musician. I won't be able to write songs. Um, but then found my way found my way in, and I guess I've been saying yes to a lot of projects, and again, that experience is just wonderful for me. I get to work with people that I really love and respect. Really enjoyed the Age of Distraction album. Got to express my heavier side.
Right.
Uh, Shadows of Mercury was a little bit more commercial, a bit of commercial crossover rock. I've been on tour with Zio for some crazy prog. I've done the beautiful sort of symphonic thing with a song for Nine Skies, and you just never know what awesome collaborations are going to come up in the future. Even some
Yeah.
with Checking for Echo Project, Caribou recently, their newest album. I'm on a track on that. It's nice to be asked.
Right. Hey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never turn them down unless you have something, another project you're doing.
Yeah. At the moment, the focus is on Ghost of the Machine. 100%. We've got live dates through the year, all around the UK. We're going to places we've never been before, like London, Glasgow, Southampton, it, Abingdon for Prog for Peer. That's going to be wonderful. Um, so we're gonna take this new album to as many places as we can get to and make sure that we show it off, right? So
and and then you mentioned that you're playing tomorrow night.
that's right. Yes, we're playing in Leicester, in the Midlands, England. We're sharing a bill with Herds, Red Bazaar, featuring the wonderful Peter Jones, who I'm sure lots of your viewers will know. Stuckfish, another awesome UK prog band, really melodic, great stuff. If you've not heard their most recent album, Four, I really recommend it as a jumping on point, or you can go right back to the first album or the second or the third. They're just a brilliant band. Check them out. Um, and also on the bill are my friends Hayes. They live just around the corner from me, but they've been on the prog rock circuit since what 1978 or something. uh,
I know them. I know them.
a real long time. They had a new album out last year, The Water's Edge. I think I sang on that as well, backing vocals. Yeah, I did. Just a great bunch of guys, been around for a long time, wonderful musicians, great songs. It's going to be a great day. And it's for good causes as well. We're raising funds for prostate cancer UK and breast cancer now. So, you know,
Oh,
for the guys and the girls, check yourselves out. These are terrible diseases, but we need to talk about it and make sure that you do get checked.
oh yes. Well, Charlie, thank you again. I
Been a
appreciate it.
real pleasure.
Uh,
Yeah,
I always
fourth
have fun
time.
talking with you.
It's always a blast,
More
dude.
times.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll
So
get to do it again before too long.
buy the album.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Oh,
Prognaut,
you're
and
welcome,
your viewers.
and thank you. And I'll talk with you